Hi everyone, it's Shalise from Southwestern Living, and here is another video about Charlotte Mason. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 5 things that I learned this year from Charlotte Mason. Let's get started. One of the interesting things about Charlotte Mason is that, she wrote 6 volumes of works and also managed not only managed a school, but she also had a publication that was put out. So there's a lot of information with that. And then you have a lot of information from other sources that found her and then kind of shared how that looks like for them and shared more about her. And now we have books like, so it's easier just to get the books than it was to try to remember titles. But you have, of course, a very popular Charlotte Mason Companion. You have For the Children's Sake, When Children Love to Learn. Karen Andriola also wrote, she wrote this book, Pocket Full of Pine Cones, Nature Study with the Gentle Art of Learning. The other one she wrote is How Charlotte Mason Would Look Like with Lessons. And again, it's just a journal of a woman and how she made that work for her. Consider This by Karen Glass, and it's just Charlotte Mason and the Classical Traditions. This isn't a book haul or anything. What do you need? Catherine Levinson. Okay, this is kind of like my prelude into leading up to something that I've really learned this year and I want to share. And I'm taking it from the 3rd volume of her book, the original homeschooling series, and this is School Education. The biggest thing that I've learned with Charlotte Mason is that knowledge versus information. There is a difference. We are full of information wherever we go on the variety of subjects. However, knowledge is vastly different. And that is something that, Paul said it best in one of his letters, and I don't remember which one. What a good question I am. But he said it best in one of his letters that he said, there are those that are always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of truth. And I think that can be that can happen very easily with Charlotte Mason. We can pull all this information on how to teach. However, we don't have the knowledge of what Charlotte Mason tried to project. Okay, so that's one thing that I've really learned with Charlotte Mason in this past year. I did take notes because I had a very rambly video before this, and I'm not even sure I will ever post that video. So I'm actually going by notes now. Another a really big thing that Charlotte Mason has taught me is something that was practiced in her school, and that's narration, telling back what you've read and what you've learned. And that is a big thing in our adult life. For me, that's been invaluable, especially when you're reading her books. Her books aren't easy reads. This is also a tip to you guys. The best way to help you understand her vocabulary, the way she is talking to you, is to narrate yourself. I don't have it handy. It's actually only about 5 feet away, but I'm not going to get up for the millionth time to get it. But I just have a little composition notebook that I just try to write, not copy. I try to write down what she is saying and narrate it. Okay, what I've learned from this, because you can read a whole section, but what I learned from that section, what I'm taking away, is going to look different for every person. And that's what you retain is going to help you learn more about the method behind Charlotte Mason and how to go about applying it. Okay? The third thing that Charlotte Mason has taught me is I actually try things out now. So I'm actually trying to do things out now that I can't really do. I'm not an artist. I just not an artist. My husband is, but I'm not. And that has always stopped me from doing art. And now that it's kind of important to do that with my children, I'm doing it more and more. And the thing with art, and the thing with anything actually, is the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And what I'm going to show you is, it's not my first drawing, it's not my first anything, but I've gotten better at it, and I can actually tell what this is now, and that is definitely progression. My little... I don't know if you can see it because I can't see what you're seeing. I don't know if I would have tried if it wasn't a part of something that I was requiring of myself to do with my children. A fourth thing that I've learned with Charlotte Mason is less is more. And that's actually very interesting, and I hope I don't get talking too long with this. But less is more can kind of be confusing, especially when you think about everything that Charlotte Mason is having us do. She is... Oh goodness, okay, you have to be quiet because Mama's doing something. We have things thrown at us like Plutarch and Shakespeare and nature study and a narration and just to name a few, okay? Those are just the top ones that I think of when people say Charlotte Mason. There is a lot to do when you're doing Charlotte Mason. But like I said in my first video, her education is an atmosphere. It's in everyday life. And so when we say less is more, and when we mean less is more, it does mean that you just educate in your day-to-day life. That children are outside playing, they're having fun. That's, maybe when you point out the pill bug on the ground, or the type of tree that's growing in your backyard, or you hear a bird call and you try to make the distinction as to what it is. You don't necessarily have to sit down and drill that into them. Okay? The thing with Charlotte Mason is it's a gentle art of learning. It's an engaging way, and I wish I could remember. I just read some. I wish I could find the section I just read in one of her novels. I wish I could remember what, but I've literally just been kind of flipping through and going to certain sections to kind of figure out my next school year. She talks about engaging the children, and it's not in a way that they're going to shut down. So if you say, hey, I want to teach you something, the child's kind of, he's already starting to fade away from you. Okay, because he's thinking, okay, this is going to be a dull lesson time. However, when he's already out in nature and he's already full of questions, and we're not telling him, he's already full of questions, that's when you can engage what he's already trying to learn. If that makes sense. It's not how I wanted to word it, but I'm running on mom fumes right now. Okay? So that's the fourth thing, less is more. The less time you spend on things, but the more you bring it just in day-to-day life is going to be more effective than just hours and hours of drilling. And I can attest to this. The short lessons, that was a big thing with her. And again, I wish I had a quote, because we hear it from other sources that less is more. But I've yet to hear anybody quote Charlotte Mason on that thinking. And I did run into it, and I meant to write it down, but I got distracted and I couldn't find that place again. So that's the fourth thing. The fifth thing I've learned about Charlotte Mason is it has to do with a weakness of my own. So maybe this learning part of it is something that I've actually learned about myself in doing Charlotte Mason, not necessarily learned about Charlotte Mason, or however we want to title this. And that is, Charlotte Mason was a human being. She was not a mother. And we need to remember that she wasn't perfect. So if something is not working with how you are schooling, then you might need to step back and think about, be a good idea to kind of step back and look at the picture. If we're trying so hard to imitate what we think Charlotte Mason education would look like, that we're disconnecting with our children, then it might be time to step back and go basic and really think about why we're doing certain things. Charlotte Mason had a reason behind some of the things that she did. If you think about her time period in the 1800s, the academics of that time were vastly different than what they are now. We focus very much on the STEM, the STEM, whereas I would say more back then you were talking more of philosophy. Darwinism had just come out, and a lot of things were being questioned, and more things were being discovered, and it was a huge time period for a whole bunch of different things. We just had Galileo and Newton, and we had all these developments, and philosophy was a big part of it. And that's not to mean that Charlotte Mason wasn't a Christian. I do believe she stressed a godly education, but I do think she was influenced by Darwin, and as a Christian I believe that to be false, but I do think she was influenced by it. However, that is only based on a little portion that I read where she addressed science. Anyway, my point being, a lot of these things like the Plutarch studies, even some of the deeper books that you read, I have a feeling, and again, this is just my opinion off of my first year of learning. And as you can see, the kids need me, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. I don't remember where I left off, so if it kind of looks like it's got cut off here, that's because I had to go get this little one. But I think what I was trying to say is Charlotte Mason was human. She made errors, and she wasn't perfect. Does that mean that I'm only going to pick and choose? No. It doesn't mean, and here we go, fun times. It doesn't mean that I'm only gonna pick and choose what I want from her per se. John. It does mean that we need to be mindful of what our families need, and not necessarily what we think our family should look like. I am going to close with a thought that I had, and I told my husband the other day. I said, "You had a Charlotte Mason education," and he's like, "No, I didn't. I went to school and I had textbooks and we did tests all the time." I was like, "That is true, but when you came home from school, your father would take you out, and you guys know rattlesnakes and the types of lizards that are out here, and you built a house and you learned plumbing and you took apart bikes and put them back together, and you went hiking in the hills and learned the flowers. You had a Charlotte Mason education. It isn't just a simple school schedule to follow." She was reaching parents in order to reach the hearts of the children, so that the end result is a love for learning. And that's what the main thing I've learned with Charlotte Mason is. To summarize, information is not knowledge. Less is more. Charlotte Mason wasn't perfect. It's good to try things without saying you can't. And the best way to learn is to regurgitate what you just read. The best way to read and understand what you've read is to regurgitate. That's going to be my video for this week on Charlotte Mason. I do have other thoughts